Radnor's zoning meeting for June. And the application tonight is Appeal Number 2835. The applicant, the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, located at 270 South Bryn Mawr Avenue, Bryn Mawr, PA, and is zoned PI, seeks a variance from the requirements of Section 280-123B of the zoning ordinance to construct a wall sign in excess of 40 square feet in sign area. Applicant is seeking to construct a wall-mounted building identification sign with an approximate sign area of 70 square feet. As also shown on the plans, the applicant is seeking a second variance from the requirements of Section 280-123B of the zoning ordinance to install a proposed sign at a height of 33 feet above grade. Pursuant to the ordinance, no wall signs may be located higher than 15 feet above the existing grade. Yes, sir.
Kathy, I'm going to recuse myself from this
Why, Charles?
because it's my son's law firm.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Dave Falcone. I'm with the law firm of Saul Ewing, here on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, seeking, as Ms. Bogosian was saying, variance to install a wall sign on what was formerly the American College site, which is 270 through 276 South Bryn Mawr Avenue. The sign we are proposing, again, is wall-mounted. It will be unlit. It will be approximately 33 feet above grade and approximately 70 feet in sign area. That would be in excess of the permitted area and height, which would be 40 square feet in area and 15 feet in height above grade. The sign we are proposing is set back approximately 300 feet from the property line on the interior of the campus on an existing building. The sign would be for identification purposes for both visitors and for emergency services upon entering the campus. This is part of an overall signage proposal for the property, which was presented to the Design Review Board and approved, with the exception of this one sign, which did not meet the requirements of the ordinance. We've spoken to the neighbors. One neighbor in particular with the Radwin Apartments, Ms. Randy Biba, called me, spoke with Matt, and had some concerns or had some questions over the site, did not see the plans on her own accord, came into the township, took a look at our application, called me back and said, no problem, this is, set back 300 feet. I thought it was going to be out on Bryn Mawr Avenue. You won't be hearing anything more from me. We have not heard anything else from any other neighbors. We've prepared a packet, which I've handed out to everyone this evening, which is a list of 8 exhibits. Inside that packet, A1 is our zoning application. A2 is a copy of the deed evidencing ownership of the property by the Jewish Federation. A3 is a proof of our notice to the neighboring property owners.
Can we slow down just a second here?
Sure.
I want to mark these here.
So they're all marked.
Oh, they are marked?
Did I?
You can go by the booklet, you don't need to go by the earlier stuff that you had.
Oh, it's this booklet here you're referring to? Okay, gotcha. I'm fine. I had one, just didn't realize it.
So then back, we've just done this kind of for ease of reference for you all
That's
going
fine.
through the exhibits. A4 would be an aerial photograph of the site. A5 is the CV of my one witness, the one witness I propose to offer tonight, which is Gregory Blue. Gregory Blue designed the sign, which we are requesting the variance for this evening, as well as designed the entire sign layout for the property. A6 is what we've called Plan Sheet 1, which is a close-up of the sign, and A7 is what we call Plan Sheet 2, which is a base plan for the site. A8 is the Design Review Board Determination Letter, again, which is an approval of the conforming signs and a recommendation to this board that the non-conforming sign be approved as shown on the plans.
Excuse me, can I ask you something?
Sir?
Just to save us a little time in reviewing, A1, the application,
Yes.
A6, and A7.
Yes.
We've already received those things. Is there any change from what we've already received?
No change.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So if you have no further questions for me, I would just as soon call Mr. Blue and let him offer his testimony with respect to the sign.
That's fine.
He has some larger plans. He'll put them down on the
Great.
table for you. Matt, should I use a separate microphone or just?
We have a handheld mic somewhere there. Is it laying around? Okay.
Thanks. I should also note that I have with me this evening Dominic Vallone, who's a representative from the Jewish Federation. Should you have any questions with respect to what goes on campus or something that would be outside kind of the purview of this application, I'm sure Dominic would be happy and well-equipped to offer any testimony on that.
Can we swear your witness in first?
Sure.
please?
Actually, you may want to.
Swear both?
Both, because.
Okay.
Because I think you'll want to, on behalf of the Jewish Federation, have somebody who can adopt the testimony of your expert as your own, if that's okay.
Would you both raise your right hands, please? Do you both solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Questions? So, Gregory, can you please state your name and spell it for the record, please?
My name is Gregory Blue, Gregory Blue.
And the name of your employer
Gregory Blue and Associates.
and your position with that company?
I'm a principal in the firm.
And can you briefly describe your educational background and work experience for the board?
My background, I'm trained as a painter, a fine artist. I've worked as an environmental graphic design for almost 28 years, and I've had my own practice for 8.
And is A5, what we've marked in our exhibit packet, an accurate copy of your CV?
Yes,
And have you been admitted in the past in townships in this Commonwealth as an expert in sign design and placement?
yes,
I'd like to offer Mr. Blue as an expert in sign design and placement. Have you in the past appeared in Radnor Township with respect to the signage on the campus?
yes,
And most recently, did you present the overall sign plan before the Design Review Board?
yes,
And with respect to most of the signs, with the exception of one, were all of the signs proposed conforming with the ordinance and approved by the Design Review Board?
yes,
And at the conclusion of that hearing, did the Design Review Board make a determination, which we've marked A8?
yes,
And that determination was approval of the conforming signs and a recommendation to this board that they approve the one non-conforming sign.
that's correct, yes,
And that sign would be the reason for our application this evening.
yes,
And did you design that sign?
I did, yes,
And you're familiar with the township's zoning ordinance?
yes,
And as you know, the maximum permitted sign area for a wall sign in the PI district is 40 square feet.
yes, that's correct.
And we've exceeded that.
Yes, we have,
Our proposed sign is 70 square feet.
yes,
And the maximum height of any wall sign in the PI district is 15 feet above grade, and we exceed that.
yes,
We are approximately 33 feet.
correct.
And are there existing features on the campus which caused you to design the sign as you have?
Yes.
And can you explain those to the board?
Yes, I'd be happy to. If you look at the plan, there is frontage on Bryn Mawr Avenue.
Is that the plan at A7?
Yes.
Yes.
To the west,
Could you pull the mic over to you,
yeah,
please?
I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine.
To the west of the entrance, which is approximately at the center of the plan, to the west on Bryn Mawr Avenue, the grade goes down lower and there is a berm there, so you don't have sight lines into the campus. As you may be familiar, the campus is very heavily wooded. It's kind of an arboretum of sorts. And so there is planting and mature trees all along to the east of the entrance, along Bryn Mawr Avenue, that obscure sight lines into the campus. The purpose of this sign is really for people turning into the main entrance to have a sight line to identify this particular building. The reason for the height, the reason for the size and the scale is we're really trying to make the sign visible from that entrance when they turn in. The reason for the height is there are tennis courts that have fencing above them to keep, the typical fencing around a tennis court. And therefore, we're trying to get above that so that you have that sight line across. And that's really the purpose of this sign.
And if-
Excuse me one second, Mr. Falcone. In addition, there's some fencing around the soccer field as well.
Yes,
Isn't that right?
that is true.
If you look at A6, is that a picture of the sign as it would sit behind the existing fencing at the tennis court?
Yes, that photograph was taken from the entrance that I referred to. And we took that photograph at a 4'6" eye level to simulate the view from a motorist as they turned into the drive.
And the sign, as you show it on A6, is what we would consider a photo simulation of what would be installed. Is that correct?
Yes, the red box around the letters indicate the approximate area of the sign, and then the letters themselves are indicative of what it is that we're proposing.
Now, would that be the actual name as shown on the sign?
Yes.
And the purpose of the sign, would you testify, would be both directional as well as information, identification?
Yes, it identifies the building, and it's our belief that this is in the public interest from a safety perspective to really enable people that are turning off of Bryn Mawr Avenue to quickly identify the building, make a decision at this decision point to either go straight or turn right in order to get to the building.
And you visited the site?
Yes, many times.
And the existing or the proposed sign would be approximately how far back, again, from Bryn Mawr Avenue?
The measure, as the crow flies, is 300 linear feet.
And can you describe for the board, please, using your exhibits if possible, the sign specifics, that would be height, type, color, so forth?
The typeface is Times Roman. It is in upper and lower case. The uppercase letters are approximately 21 inches high. They would be 6 inches. They're fabricated aluminum letters that would be dimensional in nature. The sign is non-illuminated. There is no lighting, either external or internal to it. These would simply be dimensional letters that are mounted to the building.
And you
Would
said,
Excuse me, would it be visible at night?
It would not be visible at night. However, there is ambient light, so that the purpose and the function of the building is principally as a school, so most of the activities take place during the course of the day. There is some ambient light. There is a future master plan lighting proposed for the campus, which would enable the sign to be seen. However, we are not proposing to directly illuminate it.
There's no backlit in the letters or anything like that?
No, that is correct.
and again, you're familiar with the site, so are you familiar with the area and the neighboring properties and their use?
Yes, when we did our evaluations and analysis for the overall sign program, we took into account the adjacent properties and various sight lines along Bryn Mawr Avenue in order to make our full proposal.
And it's your opinion that the proposed sign at its proposed height and size would not substantially injure or detract from the use of the surrounding property or the character of the neighborhood?
That's correct.
But it is consistent with the signage proposed for the campus?
Yes.
Will there be any traffic or highway impact as a result of your proposal?
None for traffic on Bryn Mawr Avenue. The only exception to that, of course, is going back to what I said earlier about the people that are turning into the campus itself.
Just if I may ask one question. It seems to me, looking at A7, that you have to actually have your nose inside the campus to really, you have to have actually turned in the car off of Bryn Mawr Avenue into the entranceway to really be able to see it, because it looks like it's masked by trees and so forth along.
Yes,
the
you are
top
correct.
course. So you really will not be able to see this from Bryn Mawr Avenue unless you actually make a decision to turn into this campus and have done so.
That's correct, yes. And by my previous testimony, to the left, because of the grade changes, Bryn Mawr Avenue literally starts to go down a hill to the west side of the entrance. That being said, that there is a berm there that you really can't see into the campus at all until you get to this entrance point.
And will the proposed sign have any impact on public services?
I believe that public services turning into the campus, life safety, first responders, this will help enable them to identify this building very clearly.
And the proposed sign is designed to the minimum relief you believe, in your experience, that would enable the sign to act in its most effective capacity?
The Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy does not have what I would consider to be high name recognition outside of the Jewish community. Therefore, I would suggest that what needs to happen is the letters need to be legible. It needs to be able to be read from this distance. If this was a logo or some identity that we would all recognize, then I would suggest that simply the colors or the shape or the form might be able to enable that interpretation and have people identify this more clearly. Since we don't have that case, we've proposed 21-inch high letters in order to make them legible at that distance.
And it's your testimony that letters any smaller would not be able to achieve that?
They would be significantly more difficult to read, particularly when you consider that someone has just turned in there and there is a lot of visual information that this needs to compete with.
I have no further questions for Mr.
I
I
have
have
a
some questions for
question.
Mr. Blue.
Okay.
Mr. Blue, when you're on Bryn Mawr Avenue, is there any sign that indicates what is at the end of that driveway? How would you know to turn in there?
The campus itself is identified. We have proposed a primary identification sign that is going to be located at the entrance, but that is naming the campus and the Jewish Federation. The school is actually a tenant on the campus.
Oh, I thought I see, yeah. So the school is not named on the sign?
On the main identification
Yeah.
sign at the entrance, no, it is not.
So someone's told to turn in there, and they turn in there, and then they see this blue and white sign that tells you to go one way for Barrack, one way for American College, another way for Villanova University. Doesn't that tell them what to do?
The blue and white sign that is there is an existing sign. We have, again, as Mr. Falcone suggested, we have a comprehensive sign program. That sign is going to be replaced. There will be identification signs there. However, there is a lot of information that needs to be consumed very quickly, and we believe that the letters on the building will enable people to identify the Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy, which is one of the primary tenants on this campus.
Yeah, I mean, they'll see the building, but they won't know how to get there. The sign tells them how to get there. Take a right.
Correct, yes.
These see generally where the building is, though, as opposed to having a sign.
Is this sign visible from any part of Bryn Mawr Avenue?
I would suggest that you may have some sight lines to the building. You're talking about the building sign now?
Yes.
There may be some sight lines to the building during the winter months when the canopy of the tree is down, but that's really if you're looking for it. This is fairly heavily wooded along this area, and as I mentioned, the grade here makes it prohibitive.
And what's the grade? It's hard to read on our little image there. Maybe I see it here. The grade.
I would suggest that the grade
I'm
falls
seeing
away.
topo lines, but I'm not seeing numbers on the lines to figure out which way the grade is going to the right of the,
It slopes from right to left.
it goes down to the left.
Yes.
Yeah, the numbers.
I would suggest that you're roughly at a minimum of about a 10-foot drop from the very top where the soccer field is down to the shoulder of Bryn Mawr Avenue.
Now, what about on the other side of the driveway?
On the other side of the driveway, it is much more even. The drop is not as great, but again, you have all of the trees in this area that prohibit sight lines into the campus.
Okay.
I have a question. If you were to remove the Jack M from the sign, what would that do to your square footage? Would you be in compliance then with the 40 square feet?
I believe we would be significantly closer without running that absolute calculation. I couldn't tell you exactly what the reduction would be. I don't know, again, because of the name of the school and because of the way that it has been proposed in almost every other instance, it's always referred to as the Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy.
The blue sign has the Barrack Hebrew Academy on the entrance there.
Yes, again, that is a temporary sign
Temporary.
that is going to be replaced.
And what will that one say? Did you design that one yet?
The sign has been designed. We are going to use probably Barrack Hebrew Academy yes, Barrack Hebrew Academy in an effort to condense that because there is, again,
So
the
much
amount of
footage.
information.
Right.
Yes.
Has it been considered to eliminate the Jack M on the top part?
Well, in our proposal, we would propose to name it the formal name of the school.
They'd have to file a fictitious name, actually, to do that, because they wouldn't be doing business in their legal name. So that would create a complication. I noticed that Barrack is spelled with an I at the top of the plan and with an A in the photo. If you look at this,
Yeah, I saw that, too.
Yeah, and
this one.
that is a mistake.
It
Thank you for catching that.
is not with an I, right? It's with an A.
It
Yeah,
is with
two
an A,
A's,
yes.
yeah.
Do you have a nameplate by the front door with the full name?
It will be named, there are letters that are proposed at the entrances, yes,
And that has the full name?
yes. Well, that copy has not been determined as of this time. That is conforming copy, so I don't really know what that will say yet. I know that the student entrance and the visitor's entrance will be named, again, probably by donor recognition.
In other words, if Mr. Smith buys the sign area there, it's going to be named by Mr. Smith?
Yeah, he would name the entrance of the building at that point.
Okay. Questions?
No, no other questions for me.
All right, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
I think you should ask, I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Dominic, if you want to stand up.
Yeah, just to, in-
Maybe adopt some of the representations that were made by Mr. Falcone.
So, Mr. Vallone, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Dominic Vallone, D-O-M-E-N-I-C, V as in Victor, A-L-L-O-N-E. I'm an employee of the Jewish Federation, 28-plus years. I'm Director of Operations, which involves real estate management of a number of campuses.
You've heard all of the testimony tonight presented by Mr. Blue and the offer that I've made to the board. Do you have anything to add to that testimony, or is any of the testimony, in your opinion, incorrect or inaccurate?
No, everything that I've heard has been very accurate. I would just suggest that the Jewish Federation is very delighted to be in this township, and that we love the property. And that as a nonprofit, you know, as Gregory just testified, there are opportunities to name specific buildings and entrances, all within the conformity of what the Design Review Board allows us, and we certainly hope to do that. And Mr. Barrick, who presented one of the lead gifts for our purchasing of this property, deserves to have his full name as the academy is named, and visible at least at the entrance.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from the board?
Thank
Anybody
you.
from the audience? Nope. Anything further, Mr. Falcone?
I have nothing further. I would just ask that the exhibits that I've presented this evening, A1 through 8, be moved into the record, please.
All right, thank you. Then we'll close the record on this. Jim, would you like to handle this?
Sure. I would recommend that we grant a variance from section 28123B of the ordinance regarding sign height, and also with respect to sign area. I think there's been ample testimony that the layout of the campus, as well as the physical features, including slope, warrant the construction of the sign as depicted on the plans.
Noah?
Yeah, I'm in favor of granting the approval, but because we're getting a lot of applications lately for variances to put signs up higher than the ordinance allows, I'd like to state my reasons for that, in case anybody wants to cite
Okay.
precedent to us in the future. I think one difference is the fact that it is so far back from any public thoroughfare and is really not visible unless somebody is searching for it. So it really affects no one who isn't already involved in the campus, and it won't affect anyone on the campus adversely, as far as I can tell. The fact that it's a nonprofit, I think, also affects my reasoning. This isn't a question of asking for relief from the statute to, for pecuniary reward. And but I think mostly it's the fact that it's not visible from outside the campus.
Well, I think I agree with you also. And I think we have granted relief in the past on other large buildings that were a fair distance from the main roads. So there is some track record in this area for doing that. So I would say that you have your approval. Thank you. I apologize for making you come back again tonight, but probably it was better that you did.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, if there's no further business, then I guess the meeting is adjourned.